success, or more precisely, the traits of success, is that something we're born with, is embedded into our DNA, or the result of our environment? A strong case can be made for people who are born with good genes, their parents. But experts agree that success, whether it's professionally or in your personal life, is more often the result of your environment. Thus, it stands to reason that if your upbringing is challenging, that your success might be limited. I beg to differ. What I'd like to do in the next few minutes is tell you a little bit about my story, how I made it from a working class neighborhood in Carolina, Puerto Rico, to the Pennsylvania state capitol as the first Latino confirmed to a governor's cabinet position, having worked for 4 governors and now the longest serving Secretary of State in Pennsylvania history. In the process, what I'll do is I'll share with you some tips for success, lessons learned that have served me very well. And by the way, most of these, if not none of them, are my own original views, but there are things that have helped me along the way, so I have a good eye for spotting, I believe, what can help you. You know, I mentioned that I am from, I come from a working class neighborhood in Carolina, Puerto Rico. By way of, geographically, to give you a sense of direction. If you've been in Puerto Rico, you most likely have been in my hometown. I'm going to go back to the map, because Carolina is where the main international airport is located, so we're contiguous to San Juan. Carolina is famous because it's the birthplace of Baseball Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente. You know, Clemente is known, particularly for those of us here in Pennsylvania, as a phenomenal, outstanding, gifted athlete. You know? I remember him best for being an extraordinary humanitarian who lost his life New Year's Eve, 1972, taking supplies to our brothers and sisters in Nicaragua after they experienced a devastating earthquake. You know, Clemente comes from a background much like mine, and I'll come to that in a second, about challenges and how you better yourself. But he also, even when he got to the States, had to live in the 50s and 60s, even as a baseball player, with the challenges of being dark-skinned and not being able to communicate proficiently in English. And in fact, media used to make fun of him by phonetically quoting him. So I talked a little bit about myself, working class neighborhood, but what does that mean? I grew up with a single mother who was raising 2 children with a formal 8th grade education. By the way, I have never measured a person's intelligence by their academic credentials, because my mother, by all accounts, was brilliant because she understood human relations and the value of education. But she had to work very hard, which means that not only I grew up with a single parent, but we also had very limited financial resources. In addition to that, and by the way, this is not to knock down public education, because I'm the proud product of public schools in Puerto Rico. But the school that I attended didn't have art programs, music programs. We didn't have counselors or anything of that sort. We had classrooms, and you went to school, and that was about it. And in addition to that, you know, no one in my family had gone to college. My mother was very, very clear. You know, education is the key to success. But you know, for me to get a sense of what that was, didn't have a role model, someone that I could look up to. I looked up to Roberto Clemente, but I didn't have that in mind. By the way, Clemente, I should go back to Clemente, because Clemente offers something very inspiring, and something that I take as the basis for my conversation today, which is about success, but you know, giving back. And that quote, "Make a difference." Clemente, again, gifted baseball player, but he was famous for often repeating a quote that he lived by his life by, which said, "Anytime you have the opportunity to make a difference in this world and you do not, you're wasting your time on earth." Let me repeat that. It's worth repeating. Anytime you have the opportunity to make a difference in this world and you do not, you're wasting your time on earth. I know none of us wants to waste our time on earth, and that certainly is what guided me. So in addition to the ability, not having no one in my family gone to college, one of the other challenges was that I couldn't communicate proficiently in English, and I'm still learning, as you can tell. But I couldn't communicate in English. So I remember going to college and going through the frustration of sitting in the classroom, knowing what the professor was asking. I wanted to participate, but I was afraid to raise my hand because I couldn't articulate my thoughts. So those are real challenges. So now we're going to move right on to the tips. And I mentioned that theirs are not necessarily original, but good ones. The first one is to go above and beyond. What does that mean? What that means is to set high expectations for yourself. And in the course of work and what I have done in my life is that I've always lived my life, you know, beyond the 4 corners of my job description. Yes, I do my job, I earn my paycheck, but I don't stop there. I'm the person who always raises his hand and volunteer for everything. You need someone to come in early, stay late, work to whatever. And I did it not because people were watching, not because I was expecting anything. I did it because I felt that it was the right thing to do. I was put on this earth to make a difference, so anything I could do. So I always went above and beyond. The angels. The angels, you know, if you ever encounter someone who has been successful in their lives and they tell you that they've done it all by themselves with no support, no help from anyone ever, take those words as suspicious. Because in my experience, all of us have been helped by someone. In my case, my angels were my mother, my sister, my teachers. You know, that counselor that in college gave me an encouraging word when I was doubting myself and I was homesick. Those are the angels. And more precisely in my life, one of my angels was Harry Gow, my supervisor when I was at the State Civil Service Commission as a recruiter. Well, you know, as a supervisor taught me a very important lesson. Harry said, if you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach you everything that I know. You know, how many times we encounter supervisors that hold back? They don't want to teach you everything they know because they're afraid that if they teach you, you're going to have their jobs. Well, Harry was brilliant because Harry said, you know what? If you have to decide, if you have to drive, you're going to learn anyhow. You might as well remember me on the way up. You know. The other angel, my wife Lisette. Lisette, well, you knew that I wanted to be a lawyer as long as I can remember. I couldn't go to law school immediately after college because I got the chicken pox. Long story, 7 years went by. But not a day went by. Not a day went by in those 7 years where Lisette wouldn't remind me or ask me, when are you going to take the law school admission test? When are you going to apply for law school? You know that if you do not, you're going to have to live the rest of your life with that nagging question. What if? And I'm glad I listened. So open your heart to the angels. The angels are there to help you. You know, and they will do so for no other reason that somebody helped them is the right thing to do. Which leads me to, once you start achieving success, for some reason you're going to find individuals that somehow feel or would want to present to you that your success, they want to belittle your success or want to knock your enthusiasm, and may suggest to you that you are successful because you're lucky, like dumb luck, like you bought a lottery ticket and won. And anytime someone suggests that to me, I would say, it's interesting because to me, luck is the coming together of preparation and opportunity. You want to, by the way, I find out, you know, and by that I mean preparation, you're talking about education, people, you know, relationships. We're talking about a full gamut of life experiences that you have, that you go through. Hard work, by the way, let's not forget that, hard work. You know, and I find that the harder I work, the luckier I get. So somebody tells you you're lucky, yeah, okay, I'm lucky, but I'm lucky because I'm working hard and I'm investing in myself, I'm investing in others. Along the lines of, by the way, as you're growing up in your success, very, very important to take a risk. Now, take them calculated risk, you know, if you can. You know, don't jump out of the third story window out of your building just because you think you can fly. If you don't have to do that, don't do it. But what I'm talking about is, you know, taking risk. You know, one of the things that stifles innovation, creativity, and the human potential is that being afraid of not being able to do things that you believe are in the best interest of your organization and yourself because you're afraid that you're going to be scolded or somehow ridiculed. And when you do that, you don't grow. So take those risks, and hopefully your supervisor will be an angel that will let you take risks, and you'll be able to do things like that. But do take those risks because when you do, you grow as a person. You know, I oftentimes get the question, so Secretary or Pedro, what do you look for in the ideal employee? What does the ideal person that you can hire has that can bring to the organization? And I say, well, that person will have two primary characteristics. The first one is the technical ability, the technical skills to do the job that they're being asked to do. And let's call that aptitude. But equally important, the person should have, ideally has, interpersonal skills, has a good heart, a desire to make a difference, smile, and let's call that attitude. And I'm not a mathematician, but my formula here suggests, or I'm strong in this belief that when you combine aptitude plus attitude, you get altitude, how high you'll go in life. But I'm not always as fortunate to find someone who has both of those characteristics. So if I have to choose, I always choose the latter, the attitude. Why? Because someone with the right attitude, given the opportunity, will learn, will strive for success, will do fantastically well, is going to shine, and it's going to make you look good. On the other hand, someone with a rotten attitude is like poison in a well. and that person is no good to you or the organization. So, always strive for that, that attitude, which, by the way, sort of goes into the subject of smiling. At the Department of State, I tell everyone that they should, sometimes I'm rather adamant about it, that you have to smile. And people think that I'm doing that because I'm being cute. Yeah, well, I'm not going to debate the physical, realities of smiling, that it's easier to smile than to frown. But I was so validated, it felt so great when my dear friend Mickey Ibarra, who is a former director of the White House Office for Intergovernmental Affairs. He has been in Washington 30 years. He tells a story how he worked in Washington 30 years, took him 30 years to write a book on 30 tips for success. It's called Mickey-isms. And by the way, you can read the book in about 30 minutes. I opened the book after one of our luncheons, and tip number 1, smile. Smile. That's what he said. So, because when you smile, a smile is a reflection of your good disposition, of your demeanor, of your outlook in life. And you don't want to be around someone who's negative. It's the same thing I talked about before. You want to be around folks that are positive, that are engaging. That's what you want. And last but not least, value, and if you can, in fact, embrace diversity. Huh? Different and variant points of view strengthen the organization. It puts you in a really good position to solve problems and to meet market demands. It gives you that flexibility. It gives you that adaptability to be able to do, because you don't want everybody around the table to just have the same thoughts. And by the way, remember, we live in a global society. The world may not be shrinking physically, but we are now so interconnected through technology. You have access to so many people. When you're able to show that you have an appreciation for those with different views, this is a very good, smart business decision. And I know we have many business owners here. So with that, my message is rather simple. Yeah? And we have a summary. Go above and beyond. Smile. Take calculated risk, the aptitude and the attitude. Open your heart to the angels who are going to want to help you in so many different ways. So that's, my takeaway for you would be, I'm not claiming that I have all the answers in the world. I'm a humble public servant, but I have worked with 5 different Pennsylvania governors, 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. And one thing that I have believed in my life is that I have been helped, and I didn't find a magic formula, but I've been willing to work hard. And if it has worked for me, I'm sure that it can work for you. So I thank you kindly for your time and attention, and I wish you all the best on your road to success.